Well, not since a brewery taproom opened 2 blocks from my house have I been more excited for a new spot to open than this one. We'll talk about it next. This episode of the Phoenix Magazine podcast is sponsored by Garrison Brothers High Fashion Takeover. You still have time in September to celebrate America's favorite cocktail, the Old Fashioned, through Garrison Brothers High Fashion Takeover. Go to highfashion.com to get the list of local bars and restaurants here in the Valley serving up innovative takes on the Old Fashioned using high-quality Garrison Brothers bourbon in the recipe. Share your best photos on social media with the hashtag High Fashion, that's H-Y-E, High Fashion, and make sure to tag Garrison Brothers and Boot Campaign for a chance to win some cool prizes. And for every post, Garrison Brothers donating $2 to Boot Campaign to support their life-changing programs for veterans and military families. For more information, visit highfashion.com. That's H-Y-E, highfashion.com. Today on the podcast, we get a sneak peek at Catalyst Crafted Ales in Tempe. It's the same people who were up there in Prescott at Ad Astra Brewing. You may remember them. They closed Ad Astra in this past summer and moved down here to the Valley to focus on Catalyst Crafted Ales. And based on the conversation that we had with co-owner and head brewer Will Walthereson, it's going to be one of the more highly anticipated places to open here in the Valley in quite some time. Not only are they bringing their award-winning barrel program, but they're also changing the game when it comes to their approach on seltzers, IPAs, sours, the lagers. They're going to have a taco shop on site from Salt Sea and Land Tacos, a place that started as a food truck and is now a brick-and-mortar location inside Catalyst Crafted Ales. Enrique, the head chef, joins us in the middle of this upcoming interview to tell us about his specialty, Octopus tacos. Johan co-hosts with me on this one, and we're on location there in Tempe, and I hope that's enough setup, so enjoy the interview. Well, we're on site here at a brand new brewery about to open, Catalyst Crafted Ales. Johan, alongside of me, what do you think of this place, man?
This place is really cool. I was just telling Will, it feels very high-end in here. The design is really, really nice. It feels like a place I'd want to hang out.
Yeah, let's start with Will Walthereson, co-owner and the beer maker. He wanted me to introduce him as that. Yes, Will, sir. Thanks for having us in. First thing, tell us what's going on with this place. How's construction going, and when are you guys going to open?
It's going like construction does, very at its own pace. So it's a lot like fermenting a wild beer. It's like you kind of were just along for the ride. So we're hoping in the next 2 weeks we're going at least open for selling beer that we produce in Prescott and food. But until we produce beer, we're still installing our glycol and a few other little things on the brew house, but we're like right there. And it looks really good, but it's just not quite operational yet.
It does look shiny. It looks shiny and new.
So you mentioned Prescott. Obviously, you ran Ad Astra up there, right? It closed earlier this summer, and now you're here in Tempe. What's that whole story about? Because it's been I've read where it's like you kind of use that was the catalyst, I guess you would say, for this brewery, and is that why the name is Catalyst Crafted?
Yeah, and it's we wanted to change the brand a little bit. We wanted a more highbrow, serious brand, and to have our beers reflect that too, and our tasting room reflect that. So we didn't want to be like in a airplane hangar and it looks like a house party. We want it to be like an intimate feel, a nice place where you can bring your wife, you can bring your family, you can have food here even if you don't necessarily drink a lot of beers. It's just a good hangout place and a social hub for people to meet and let's start at Catalyst, then let's go hit Four Peaks, then 100 Mile, or any way you switch it, because this is such a good area for beer in this state. This is like the Mecca is, I think, Tempe. We're Four Peaks, Shop. We have a lot of really, really big power players here. So to take our talents to Tempe is what we wanted to do. We want to be in the big pond. So we're ready for it, and we're really, really excited to start making some beers.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, as a ASU alum, Tempe is where I learned to drink beer. So it's exciting to have another new player. I mean, we had 100 Mile open just earlier this year. The shop's been there for a while. Pedal House on Mill, I think just got a renovation. So they're getting a facelift and expanding more. So it's fun to have a new face.
I think for a long time, Tempe's always been, because of Four Peaks being such a giant, that people have kind of considered Tempe is big, but like when I was in college, that was it, Four Peaks.
Right.
But in the last 5 to 10 years now, all those places are open, and like you just listed them all. And now Catalyst, you joined the group here. Was Tempe kind of always your destination spot that you had in mind?
Not necessarily. I think it was just trying to make something that would work for us. We would have been happy in Central Phoenix or in Scottsdale, but this was the area that we were able to, it checked the most boxes for us. So we knew that we wanted to be centrally located. We didn't want to be off the beaten path. We want to be in the mix, in the heart of it. And we feel like Broadway and McClintock, you can go look out there and count cars all day, and there's people driving by. There's a lot of foot traffic. So we wanted to be somewhere where it was accessible and a common road that people go on, because, you know, people are going to walk by and like, Catalyst Crafted Ales, I never heard of that. What's that? Is that a brewery? And they're like, then they can come check it out. So we're trying to use everything to our advantage. We know that we're really happy with the way that we make beer. Now it's just showing people and giving the people that exposure, so then they can come and drink our beer and drink everyone's beer, you know? So that's our biggest thing, is trying to improve the community in terms of not only brewer to brewer relationships in Arizona and do collaborative stuff and learn from each other and push that. And also for people, like you could have people that are coming in here that are master cicerones, or I just kind of wanted a seltzer to try and see what it was all about, you know? So
Yeah.
And that's what you offered us here. Tell us about this bright red. It's a seltzer, right?
Yep. So it's called Purple Rain Sangria, and Purple Rain is our base seltzer for this. So it's a seltzer that's co-fermented with Zinfandel and Syrah from Napa, and it's lightly aged on oak spirals, so you can get more of the complexity of wood, but we didn't want like an oak bomb. And then so this is a variant of that, and so we conditioned this on green apples, Caracara oranges, and Meyer lemons. And so it kind of gives you the look of a sangria and the feel of a sangria, but we can't make wine, but we can definitely make this. So it's kind of somewhere where we can flex our muscles a little bit, because some of the breweries I've worked at in the past, we've done a lot of great projects and a lot of things like that. So to take that knowledge and to put a new feather in our cap and kind of reinvent what people think of as a seltzer, because seltzer is the fastest growing beverage in the alcohol industry. And I think it's super underserved in terms of brewers either not wanting to make it, not knowing how to make it, or not even wanting to mess with it. So if we can get more people to drink it, like we went to Orange County and every brewery had at least one seltzer, and they had like 4 lagers. And I was like, I feel like we're heading in that direction.
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
I mean, as a beer drinker, seltzers are not something I've ever been interested in. It's not something I've ever really, I've taken sips of them and I'm always kind of underwhelmed. But this particularly is like super flavorful. It's very good. I would definitely drink this.
And we wanted to make it something complex where people, I think seltzers get kind of a bad rap, because if we judge lagers off of Miller Lite, not everyone would
100%.
like lagers, but there's so many different. There's like Schwarzbier, there's Marzen, there's Festbier. So it's kind of like that with seltzers. I think they're just a little misunderstood. I think they're kind of brushed over, and they're a pleasure to make. They're fast to make. They're pretty easy to make, and they people seem to like them. So it's like, it doesn't make sense to try and reinvent the wheel. Just do it. Do something that we're good at and make it more palatable towards people. Put colors in here, so when someone sees that, they're gonna be like, "What is that? Oh, it's our seltzer." Like, that's not a seltzer. Like,
Yeah.
It is though. So it's just it's trying to educate people at the same time as kind of make up history as we go along.
Yeah.
Because there's no real book on how to make any of this stuff. It's kind of, we're just taking what we know about beer and common denominators with that, and some winemaking and grape dealing with from us. So we wanted to come up with something that was unique, but not stagnant, and not really riding coattails wearing them, if that makes sense.
So from a liquor board perspective, is seltzer kind of under the board of a beer?
Yes,
like,
it's under.
okay.
So this is technically a beer, but
Gotcha.
the main thing is we need to use more sugar than we do grapes.
Got
And
it.
so that's the thing where some of these, like, that's why the ABV is so high. So we did a little bit of grapes, but we had to do a lot of sugar to balance that and be within compliance. So it's a balancing act, like a lot of things. Like, I've done a lot of beer wine hybrids where it's 49% grape, 51% beer, right on the edge. And that was at the brewery, that was like our big thing. So we really learned a lot there in terms of production, and my assistant brewer and very good friend Alex, who works here as well, came from Superstition Meadery.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of experience between us with barrel aging and making different styles of creative beers with different fruits and different flavors. So we never want to, I guess, be stuck being a one-trick pony. We have a lot of tricks up our sleeve.
Yeah, I was gonna say your main trick is, I think you're known at Ad Astra, at least, for the big stouts, imperial stouts or barrel aged.
Yeah.
You guys won medals for it last year at the Arizona Craft Beer Awards. Gold and a bronze for 2 different styles, or 2 different entries into that. And you want to be known for that, or do you want to be known for having just this wide variety and diversity of different drinks here?
I think it's like a Swiss Army knife. You always have a different tool for a different, job. So like, we just know that we like making beer that's clean at a very high level and it has discernible flavors. Like if we advertise a flavor, we don't leave anything to the imagination. It hits you right in the face. And that's just something that we really like. And on subtle beers, we do have subtle beers like lagers and stuff. We're going to be more nuanced. But when it comes to this or the big barrel aged beers, we walk with our chest puffed because we want them to be larger than life and we want them to taste like what we put into them. So if something ever doesn't come right, nobody tries it. And I promise you that. And I don't like to dump beers, but I know that it's something that you have to do. I think at Ad Astra, we dumped 2 beers still for the 2 years we were up there, but it was just didn't work out. We had an idea and we couldn't put the brush to the canvas to make it how we wanted it. So we didn't even want to release it. We didn't want to show anybody.
So when so I remember Ad Astra, the first time I saw Ad Astra was at the Copper State last year. Is that what it was called? Copper State Beer Festival? Yeah. And I remember being really, really impressed. Like, oh, this is a new brewery. This is a really good beer. I think I had some of the barrel-aged stuff that you guys were pouring at that. So how much are you bringing a lot of the same recipes into Catalyst, or are you kind of reimagining, rebranding? Like,
so we're rebranding some stuff, facelifts on some stuff, but we're bringing back a lot of beers that worked really good for us. Positive Visualization was one of our beers that we really liked. It's American Light Lager. That's going to be our first beer that we make down here, and it's going to keep the same name because it's just too good of a name. Yeah. But then we had this beer up there called Tranquilo. It was our like dark Mexican lager. We're bringing that back because we feel like that's another style. We're trying to do styles that we like to personally drink and that are hard to find in the market. Like if you go and try and if you go to, let's say, a big bottle shop like a Total Wine, and you're like, hey, where's your dark Mexican lagers? And you're like, you want a dark lager or a Mexican lager? No, like Modelo Negra, like Dos Equis, Amber, that's what we really want to go for because nobody's doing it, but it seems like everybody likes to drink it. Because we had a Bohemia 6-pack in here and it was gone, and cases of stuff like that. So we love doing lagers and we want to kind of pave our own path on certain ones. We don't want to necessarily do what everyone else is doing. And I think that's the way to do it is to do something that you like. And then you have like ownership in it when you put it out. Cause you're like, I actually like drinking this style. So when I put it out, I want it to be competitive with Modelo and with Bohemia and those guys.
You guys are obviously still waiting for final approval to open, but are you able to brew stuff yet?
We have the green light to brew. We just don't, like, the brewing equipment's not necessarily operational, and we've kind of shifted our focus on getting the tasting room open and doing brew stuff when we can. But the main focus right now is getting the tasting room. Yeah. And we have everything's laid out to put the glycol in, but we haven't actually got it installed. So we have the pieces. It's just one of those things that takes time. And
are you still brewing in Prescott?
Nope. No. We're completely out of Prescott. Hands are washed of Prescott.
So you have stuff over there, in the case. Right?
Where is that being made?
That was already made in Prescott before we left. So we had to make styles strategically. So we couldn't make hazy IPAs or West Coast IPAs and then bring them down here because they wouldn't be fresh. But we can make stuff like this. We can make barley wines. We can make stouts. We can make seltzers. We can make sours. Stuff that has a little bit more of a long shelf life. So that's what we'll kind of come out with. And that's why at the beginning we'll be focused on doing those 2 lagers, a variety of seltzers. We're looking at doing like almost like a cocktail type line of seltzers. So it's going to be like the first one's going to be a Moscow Mule. So everyone likes Moscow Mules, right? So how could we take something that everyone already likes and then bring it at our brewery? We don't have a liquor license, but we can make a seltzer Moscow Mule. We can make a painkiller. We can make anything you could think of, Sangria. So
Will's like an encyclopedia of drinks. I love this.
So how many taps are you gonna have? How many is that?
24.
24. And obviously, right off the bat, you're not gonna be able to have 24. So
We're
you're
gonna
gonna
have
bring
some guest
guests.
beers.
Okay,
So
cool.
we want to bring in guest beers of beers that we want to emulate, of people that we respect in the beer scene, and that we feel like not only do the Arizona beer scene right, but do us right by having them on. So we're very selective on some of our stuff. Like Pedal House, we love those guys. We brought them in. Anyone who we can bring in, we'll bring them in. But we have a limited amount of taps, so it just depends on what we really like in the market and what we want to drink more so than anything. So we have a couple from AleSmith. I'm a huge AleSmith fan. Being from Southern California, it was always the place where I went for barrel aged speedway releases, and you're just like, man, this is super cool. And we have a little bit of shades of AleSmith in here. I feel like the original location, the new location's like, man, I couldn't even imagine. It's just so big, so much stuff going on. But beers like that we really like. We got some Tombstone. Those guys are always doing good things. So we just want to bring in quality products so people can know that we're serious. We don't want to have like, I'll pick on Miller Lite again. We don't. Well, I'll drink Miller Lite, but I don't think
you're ready for people to come in and ask for that, right? Though.
Yeah. Oh,
how do you deal with that?
Prescott, you should live in Prescott. Everyone wants Jack Daniels and Coors Banquet. So, and food.
So you were talking earlier about different styles of lagers, and Schwarzbier is one of the styles you mentioned. I used to work at a tap room that had 30 some odd beers on tap, and my favorite thing was somebody comes in, asks for like I don't know, I'm looking for something kind of like a Bud Light. And I'd be like, I'm going to bring you a sample of something. I just want you to try it. I told the story on this podcast before. But I brought them a little sample of Button Brewing's Schwarzbier.
Okay.
And they loved it. They were like, this is really good. The color totally threw them off. But once they tried it, they were really... So if you guys make a Schwarzbier, you'll be
those
like one of maybe
tricks,
2 or 3 breweries in the state that make a Schwarzbier.
Yeah.
Do you have Mind Trick kind of beers like that?
Yeah. We have one. Well, I can't even remember what we called it, but it was. Are you familiar with Noble Ales in Anaheim or no?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Naughty Sauce is theirs. It's a white stout that tastes like coffee. It's almost like Coffee Kolsch from Huss would be the closest thing that we have in the state. But it looks like a Pilsner and has a head like a Pilsner, but when you drink it, it's like drinking like cold brew coffee. It's like really, really good. It's like a total like head trip, kind of beer. And I think even this to a certain extent where you're like, I don't know what that's going to taste like. It tastes a lot like sangria. So it's, we want to use every way that we can to make the beer unique. If we have a beer that's pink, it's not just for the color. It's because there's everything that goes into it is to make it that way. And I never want to, it's kind of like a cheap trick if you have a beer that's like looks really pretty and then it doesn't taste good. It's got to taste
it's like putting
as good as it looks.
green food coloring in
it. St. Patrick's Day?
Just to have a St. Patrick's Day beer.
None of that.
Or something.
Yeah, there you go. Let's finish it.
You've been with different great breweries like Wren House, you were talking about the brewery in Southern California and Shop. And did that ever get confusing, calling it the brewery in Southern California? I always try telling people that. I'm like, BRU. Without a W, but it's just a U.
I think the thing is in Southern California is like when we went back and we went to a bunch of places in Anaheim and Orange County, and everybody where I went, they had one guy that was from the brewery, 1 or 2 guys. Sure. So it was like kind of...
That's kind of like Santan out here, yeah.
That's exactly what we're kind of equating it to. So it's like you always, and once you're kind of family brew, you're kind of always cool with the brewery people where you're like, oh, what's up, dude? You work here now? Like, yeah, let me get you a beer. So you go to Green Cheek, there's 4 brewery guys there. You go to Brewery X, there's a brewery guy there. You go to Bottle Logic, there's brewery guys there. You go anywhere you go, there's brewery guys.
Yeah.
So,
how did those kind of places shape how you brew now?
Oh, I wouldn't be making beer if it wasn't for the brewery. So I owe everything to the brewery because I was a consumer before I was a beer maker. But man, when I first started going to the brewery, it just blew my mind every single time that I went. Their beer was so good, so different, so creative, so much thought went into their beer. And like, it was a high-end brand. It was a premium brand. It was like Arrogant Bastard and Stone was like the kind of like the Walmart. And this was like Whole Foods, or it was just a different level of market. It was a different level of place. And it's the only brewery that I really remember going to for a long time where you could get a flight of barrel-aged beer. And I was like, that's crazy. How many barrels must they have? And then I started working there and I found out they had 3,000 whiskey barrels on their clean side and 2,500 sour barrels when I was there.
That's nuts.
And 10 fooders, from 100 barrels to 250 barrel fooders. The two 250s were the largest in North America at the time when I was there. So a lot of barrel work and a lot of stuff like that. And it was very much fermentation driven. So I never even really started doing hot side stuff until I went to Ad Astra. I was a cellar specialist, fermentation specialist, closing pitcher, I called it, because we could take a beer and we have a stout that's good. And then we're like, okay, how are we going to make it great? And then we, add our stuff, do it, and then put it off. And then, so I was doing that very successfully at Wren House and at the shop. And then when I went to Ad Astra, I didn't have any real control over the hot side or recipe formulation, but I still saw how it was doing. So when I went to Ad Astra, we just turned it to level 12. We went absolutely as hard as we could, because the thing that I've noticed the most from connoisseurs of stouts is they always knock mouthfeel on stouts. And if it's not thick enough and it can't hold up, it's like you're drinking like vanilla water. It has to be thick. It has to have that body to support all those flavors. So
right.
You don't want it too sweet, because then it'll come off as kind of cloying or flabby and it kind of misses the mark. So it's a huge balance. And the way that we make those beers is super unique. And I always laugh at people when they say, oh, well, lagers are the hardest style of beer to make. That's the urban legend that brewers say. So then they can make lagers. Like, oh, this is really hard. It's super easy to make lagers. It's hard to ferment lagers, but brewing lagers is about as easy as it comes. When you do a 19-hour, 36 Plato boil on a stout, that's hard. That takes time. And if you mess it up, a lot of ingredients go into it. So it's a high risk, high reward. It's swinging for the fences kind of. So we've kind of gotten a lot of opportunities to meet a lot of people from at the brewery, from at Wren House, from at shop, where we connected with Surly guys, we connected with the Bottle Logic guys, and learned kind of like what everyone's doing and seeing what works for them and find out what works for us. Because there's no real one way to make a stout, and it's a huge range of stouts. You can have like a Guinness all the way to like how we do our stouts, which I think is like the polar opposite of Guinness. Ours are much darker, they're much sweeter, they're much thicker, and there's a lot more flavor. But Guinness is like the iconic, that's what you can drink 6 glasses of. Our stout, you want to drink like 6 ounces of it and then go on to a lager or an IPA or something.
I'm curious, removing Ad Astra or Catalyst from the equation, who, in your opinion, in Arizona is like crushing the barrel aged?
There's a few guys. So there's a lot more guys than there was, but I would say in no order, probably Oso's got to be up there. Their barrel program is high and tight, and it's one of the top in the area. Do
you know Brody?
I don't.
Okay.
I know that they're
happy to make the intro. I feel like you guys could do some really epic stuff together.
I'm an open book. And I would love it. At minimum, maybe we just have a beer and chat it up.
Hell yeah.
You know? So I'm always open with that. I think I have a lot of respect for them and what they're doing with their barrel program. Wren House, obviously, I kind of was there and did a lot of barrel aged beer there and got a good foundation. And I think they've took it and ran with it, and they're doing a lot of really good stuff in barrel aged scene and outside of the barrel aged scene. Wilderness is probably right up there too, but they're doing a style that nobody's doing anymore. They're doing traditional barrel aged sours. So I have a lot of respect for them to still stay with it and stay the course on that, because I know a lot of people that aren't doing that style anymore because the amount of time that it takes, the amount of energy that it takes, the amount of sanitation and cleaning that it takes.
They carved out their little niche and they're like sticking to it, and I love that. Yeah,
and I think it works for them, and it's almost like, and I mean, you got to throw Dark Sky in there too, right? I mean, they're kind of off the beaten path a little bit, but they're doing some really good barrel aged beers. So I'm glad that there's more barrel aged people, but I'll say this: I don't feel like there's like a Bottle Logic. I don't feel like there's like a brewery out here where there's like thousands of barrels. So we still have a long way to go in order to be to that level. And I don't know if Arizona will ever have a brewery like that, but that's if I had control over the world, I would want to make a brewery like that, because I think it's fun. I think it's more like, it's more romantic. It's more like, it's different. It takes so much more skill to brew a beer. And then you basically have your pieces, and then you build something out of them with the barrels that is pretty much not replicatable. It's like a one-time thing. It's like a timestamp. So I think that's kind of what we want to move towards. And it's hard to come out the gate and just, okay, we're going to fill 100 barrels in the first 5 weeks. So I think it's just going to take some time.
Yeah.
But we're looking at doing a lot of barrel aging strong beers here. I feel like that's one of our strong suits, and it's something that's not done enough in Arizona. Like, I feel like more breweries should be doing big barrel aged beers. But like I said, it's not everyone's business model. It's not how everyone wants to do it. Some people, they don't drink barrel aged beers, so why would they even want to make them? So it's for us, we really enjoy it. So it's like we make the lager so we can pay for the barrel aged stouts kind of thing.
You can never go wrong if you show up to your buddy's house and be like, hey, I brought this bottle that we're gonna share tonight. Like, you're the instant hit of the party right there.
I have a full size fridge in my garage that is exclusively for beer.
Okay.
And there's a shelf that is all Oso ales from the crypt.
Okay.
And it's a lot, and it just sits there. And I have a few more from other breweries, but they just sit there because I don't open them until I have someone to share them with.
Yeah, you gotta,
because you're not gonna drink a 16.5%, barrel aged barley wine by yourself. I can't. It's too much, right? Like you said, 6 ounces. So, if you guys are like, it's totally an experience. So it's exciting that you guys are hoping to kind of maybe carve out your part of that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you guys want to try a barrel aged stout?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me go grab
It'd be a good time for a break to get our ad in right here.
Do its thing in the woods.
Well, it's a perfect time for Will to go pour us some more samples so we can tell you about the High Fashion Takeover from Garrison Brothers Distillery. High, H-Y-E, is named for the small town outside of Austin, Texas, where the stars at night are big and bright. You know what I'm talking about. And it's where Garrison Brothers distills all of its fantastic bourbon right there in High, Texas. Visit highfashion.com to get a list of local bars and restaurants here in Phoenix, such as Pitch Cavasson. They're on there. What they're doing is they're using old-fashioned recipes, but they're using Garrison Brothers bourbon to create this high-fashioned type of drink. Get it? High-fashion, old-fashioned, High Texas. You get it. Highfashion.com. You can become a part of the High Fashion Takeover all throughout the month of September. That's 2 more weekends here. Go to highfashion.com. Take part in the great High Fashion Takeover from Garrison. Now back to more with Will Walthereson at Catalyst Crafted Ales in Tempe. All right, so we're back here. Johan's going to stand, so don't fall over on the barrel-aged stout.
Oh, man.
Will is going to pour into some sample glasses. What are we pouring?
Envy.
Envy.
So Envy is an imperial oatmeal milk stout aged in Willett Family Estate rye whiskey barrel, single barrel, for 16 months, and then it was reconditioned on Madagascar vanilla and toasted coconut. So those are kind of like, as a stout geek, if it's got coconut and vanilla in it, those are that's top flavors in my opinion.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree with that.
What are some of the other flavors that you might try to go for?
I'm very particular in the way that I make stouts. I don't like fruity stouts. Like, if it's a fruited stout, it has to have like a real purpose. It has to have a real destination for me to even want to do it. I like flavors like chocolate, coffee, vanilla, coconut, clean dessert flavors, no fruity esters or anything like that, or plum, or I'm not really into that on stouts. Now, barley wines, you're gonna have more of that kind of maybe like fruity or like tannic flavor, I guess would be the way to put it. But
it smells beautiful. Like you said, that coconut vanilla combination in a stout is like, to me, it's nostalgic.
I took too big of a pour there, so. But it's fantastic. Your barrel aged stuff always hits the mark.
It's smooth, it's very lightly carbonated, which is what I'm hoping for out of a stout like this. And
not overly sweet.
Yeah.
It's not that
you're right.
That one that's you're like, oh, I don't know. I definitely need to share that one. But like this one, I could see maybe not sharing so much.
This one's dangerous because I could see myself drinking the entire bottle. And then what's the ABV on this bad boy?
13.
Yeah.
So we
and you got bottles of that ready to go for whenever you open, right?
On our first opening.
That's fantastic.
We're hoping to have one of the better barrel aged beers out the gate, and we feel like this is like something that if a beer geek comes and they get the bottle and they take it home and they try, or they get a couple bottles and they save some, this will be something that you could send to another state or take it on your Christmas trip back east and open it with family. It's like, this is a special bottle. It's a very, very intimate beer. It took a very long time to make. It took a lot of energy to make because we made it in Prescott. So it was not, we didn't have all the resources that we have now. So it took a lot of work to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning on making this every year? Is this going to be one of your kind of mainstay seasonals?
We, my theory on stouts is different than most people. I have this idea in my head that we don't necessarily only make one stout recipe because that limits your complexity. So we will have multiple mashes and we will label them as that mash. And then when it comes time to blend, we have all these like threads that we can weave into something that's better than all of them.
Yeah.
And so if you do the same mash bill, you can get one dimensional. Sometimes you want to do some rye in there for some complexity, or let's do double wheat on this one, or this one's all oats. So, and it all goes back into trying to build the complexity of the beer through the proteins and through making it having a bigger body by doing multiple things to help that. And it's something that we go out of our way and work very, very hard on, is to have the viscosity of almost like almond milk or something like that.
Totally. That's definitely what I'm getting. So, because I asked that because I think of like the what is it, the Goose Island Bourbon County, and they release year after year, and you kind of take one, you take a few and you stick them in your pantry or in your fridge, and you let them sit there for a few years, and then down the road you got a 2013 Bourbon County that you want to crack open with you,
like 5 years in a row.
Yeah, and you crack one open with on a special occasion, and so I'm wondering if there's going to be like a Arizona brewery that starts to do that kind of thing where you just kind of like you want to save them.
It'll probably be us, or
I love that.
Wren House is doing it right now, and there's people that do it, but we're not going to be club based. This is just going to be first come first served for us, And I think that it's cool that everyone has their own different styles and ways to get the beer to the consumers. But from doing it myself and working at a brewery working at Wren House and working at the brewery that has the biggest club of any brewery, the brewery, I just realized that it becomes a full-time job just trying to manage the club and keep them happy. And then you have to worry about keeping the regular customers happy. And then you don't want to create this divide, I guess, kind of, at least for me, how it works for my vision of beer. So I just think that it's like, for us, we want to have a line culture where, like, if people come out here and they know we're going to have a beer, you can come chill on the patio, maybe a coffee truck or something, or, you have breakfast out there, and then you're first in line, you get the bottle, and you're like, okay, let's get it on draft. Like, that's what I really liked about beer, and waiting in those lines and going to get these cool bottles. And then, I'm going to send this back to my buddy because he's going to send me this other half, or he's going to send me this Wakefield, or he's going to send me, some big beer in return. And now I have like this currency on this trading market, where it's sometimes not every beer is easy to trade, you know what I mean? But then there's some beers that are really easy to trade that everybody wants. So we want to be sought after.
That. Sure.
And we want people to come and say, oh, we're in Tempe. Oh, dude, you got to go to Catalyst. We're only there for like an afternoon. Oh, yeah, well, you definitely got to go. Yeah. And then you go hit Four Peaks. Then we tell them to go all of our places that we like. So we want to be a destination brewery in a big destination city with a lot of people. So that's kind of why we make the beers that we make. We want to stand out. We're not trying to just make hazy IPAs and Pilsners and stuff that kind of everyone does. We want to do that, but we also want to do what we really hold dear to our heart, and it's making some of these big creative beers.
I love that.
Will, you mentioned a lot of resources here in Tempe, and we're looking at them here off to the side. A whole table of people that help you, kind of, because you don't do this alone, right?
No.
There's all kinds of people. Why don't you walk us through what some of the important people here are behind the scenes?
Well, they're all very important. So I'll start from the left and work right. Alex is my right-hand man that he helps keep me drawing inside the lines of reason most of the time. And then Dano's back there with the glasses. He's our social media and marketing ace. Craig right there. He's our tasting room manager and operations. Help take some of the stress off me. Help me focus on the beer. And Trino's right there. Trino's like his Alex, his right-hand man, doing everything, helping keeping him straight and narrow. We got Enrique. He's probably one of the best chefs I've ever met in my life.
We're going to chat with him soon.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be in here soon for sure. And we could make a whole show just about his food. That's how good it
Yeah,
is.
Enrique, come on over. Well, Enrique comes over. So he is the chef at Salt Tacos.
Yep.
Which is another big, cool thing right over here, Enrique, right on this microphone. And you're going to have food here, courtesy of Enrique and Salt Tacos, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Enrique.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Let me turn up your mic here so we can hear you.
Sounds good.
Tell us your name and what you do here behind the scenes at Catalyst Crafted.
Okay, so my name is Enrique. We've been working in this project for the last 2 years. I actually have a food truck. I started with a food truck around COVID time, and I made a brand for myself, Salt, Sea, and Land Tacos. It's an acronym for SALT. And I just do, what I love to do, cook. I try to be different out there. I do octopus tacos, which you very rarely see around here, unless you go to like high-end restaurant, you'll see octopus. But and I just wanted to be different from everybody else.
Yeah, we actually did a feature in the magazine about that kind of food truck to brick and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of in a lot of people started that in COVID. They got into food truck business. And they kind of built that up, and that sounds like it's like your store. Our store was on Chilte over there at inside the Egyptian hotel. Yeah, so they had a food truck, and now they're brick and mortar, and they're successful over at their hotel.
The same thing. It's a
So
common.
we actually started looking at brick and mortars before COVID. We met with when I say with my wife and I, we met with a few realtors to look at places and everything, and then all of a sudden COVID happened, and we're like, oh, maybe we should wait and see what's going to happen, and we all know what happened. But I still had that passion. I'm like, I want to still go out there. I was in corporate for about 17 years, and I just wanted something different, and my passion is to cook since I was a little kid because I like to eat.
What do you think about that, Will, having food as part of a tap room or your brewery experience?
I think it's really good, and I think it's something that I've never really had before, and I think it's going to be nice because we wanted to make sure that it would be a smart move, because there's a lot of moving pieces involved. And so we were lucky enough to have Enrique, take this opportunity with us, and it would have been, it's a 1 in a million to fit in at this brewery, and we got the guy that fits in here because his style to making food is very similar to my beer. It's unapologetic, and he does high-end stuff like he's talking about, and he does stuff that's different and that makes you think about it, and you come back to try it again and again and again. So it's to me, I couldn't think of a better person to have in here, and he's been really cool meeting him, his family, and kind of growing through this thing together. It's like there's a lot of personalities at this business. We have people that have multiple businesses that are involved. Like we left Grant off, but Grant has multiple businesses, and he does a lot of our stuff on social media and marketing. And he's like our right-hand man in terms of we need something done. Grant's going to make sure that shit happens. So we just, to work through all of that and work to the big goal, it's like, you got like a team of all-stars. So you got to keep everyone happy. You got to keep moving forward and keep doing good stuff. But I think the thing that I would always worried about was you never want one to be better than the other when you have both. And I'll tell you right now, Enrique's food is right there with my beer. And I would say a lot of people would say it's better, and that's how good his food is.
Yeah.
Because
all right, Enrique, how's his beer? What do you think?
This beer is amazing.
One of my favorite developments in the craft beer industry over the last 10, 15 years has been the merging of the culinary with the beer. Back in the old Four Peaks days, it was like bar food, right? Pub food.
Pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Fish and chips, fried chicken, whatever. And then, over the last few years, like that merging of really high-end chef with the really high-end beer has happened, and I've loved that combination. And so it's cool to see that. I'm curious, Enrique, what's your background from a food perspective? Where'd you get started, and like how'd you get where you are now?
So I was born in Mexico, and when I was 10 years old, we moved to Texas.
Where in Mexico?
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua?
Yes.
DF.
DF, really? Nice.
Yep.
Chilango.
That is Mexico City for those who don't know. Yeah.
And so we moved to Texas, El Paso, Texas, which is the border with Juarez. So we have a big, a lot of good food over there because of the border.
Totally.
When we moved to Arizona in '97, it was very rare to find good food. You have to go somewhere deep in Phoenix to find some,
Yeah.
good food.
It's
Now
all
you see it more
refried
often.
beans and a lot of
Yes.
cheese. And
Now you
lot of
see it more
lettuce.
often. And like you said, the food community is growing a lot, and a lot of high-end, chefs are making, things a little bit different now. But it's good to see all that, that food community growing a lot and different too. So when we moved to Arizona in '97, I always wanted a restaurant, but I was a kid. I got married pretty young. I was 19. I'm still married to the same girl. So
good for you.
yes. So my passion for food came because, like I said, I like to eat. And my mom and my grandma told me one day, you know what? You're not going to marry your mom or your grandma, so you're going to have to learn how to cook. And that's how I learned from both of them. And that's where my passion comes, from cooking. And we like to try different things and different ideas, not just stick to one thing. I like to try. We make everything from scratch. Our salsas, our adobo, everything's made from scratch.
I will certainly be in for the beer, but definitely for the food.
Yeah, who did the mural over there? The artwork. That's amazing.
Yes, that was just done just a few days ago actually, and her name is Dayami Perez. She's from Cuba, and she's amazing. You can see the art in there, and
It's great octopus with like a big blue. Is that like a beer can in the background?
Yeah, so it kind of
that's awesome.
reflects both businesses. The octopus that I do for my tacos, and then the beer that obviously Will's going to make.
Very
so
cool.
Give us a little preview. Obviously, you'll have a full menu. You don't have to read off the whole menu, but give us a little preview of maybe like the top 2 or 3 dishes that you're excited to serve here at Catalyst.
My top dishes is the octopus taco, obviously, and then the fish taco and the shrimp taco. I do have the carne asada, and chicken adobado, but I think my main, the reason why some people know me already and people know my brand is because of the octopus taco.
My wife will be very excited to try all those. Yeah.
Most people, when they think octopus, they think it's going to be chewy and rubbery like calamar, but it's not. Once they have my taco, they're like, wow.
I was going to ask, how do you prepare the...
It's a process. It takes about, 2-3 hours to get it to the right, tenderness that you want. And then obviously once it's done, we put it in the grill so we can get that, that flavor from the grill. And then I use a smoked salsa that I make with a chile called morita. And then we put it on top.
I'm excited. I will definitely be here for that.
I mean, I think you guys posted that a couple months ago, that announcement. I immediately ran to my wife and showed her. I'm like, this is going to be so cool when it opens.
So
you gotta go.
For personal, so I put on all of Phoenix Magazine's events. So I just want you guys to, we're just going to establish here that March 17th is our Dish Fest, which is our food festival.
Okay.
And we have several breweries that participate.
The plug man over here.
Love to have
the events.
Those octopus tacos at that food festival. I think they would kill. People would be like, what is this? It would be fantastic. And then obviously for Catalyst, all of our events, we have our beer festival coming up. I don't know if you guys will be quite up and running and ready for that, which is totally fair. If you guys all want to attend, I'm happy to help out with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of places for you guys to fit in that people will love to try all your stuff.
And one thing that I use also that is different for my tacos is the blue corn tortilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
I need to. I'll be back. Just let me know when you open. I'll be first in line.
That's good.
And
so yeah, go ahead.
I think that just going back to what Jan was saying earlier, where it's like this change of culinary with beer, it's because beer has changed.
Yeah.
It's gone from fizzy yellow beer to now there's all these different kinds of beers, and educating the consumer, and then just people educating themselves on beer, like the Cicerone program coming along and pairing food with beer was not something really done in the old days. It's kind of just pair it with pizza, right? So it just goes to show how far the industry as a whole has come.
Totally.
And we approach it, I mean, at least on my brewing, a lot like a chef. We try and get the best ingredients and try and showcase what they do and not interfere with it with our own shit. It's just get the best stuff and make that into the beer. And that's like how his food is. So I think it's a match made in heaven. And we're really...
you guys have this great circle of friends here, because I know Craig, he's the owner over the Pour Taproom, right? In East Mesa. Mm-hmm. I've been to his place a couple times. You could always get Ad Astra beer there. So that's how you guys know each other, right? And then he had Enrique was food truck outside of his tap room for a while, and that's how you guys all know, and that's how you get set up here. It's a great little triangle of just
It's a good
it's going to be an
testament.
awesome place here.
It's a good testament to the community building that's involved in beer.
Sure.
And you said this right out of the gate that you're excited to do collaborations with some of the other guys locally, and that's for me. I put on these events and but at the end of the day, like, I'm a beer drinker and I love trying all these different beers, and I love that collaborative element of beer, that it's like, rising tide lifts all ships. Like, we're all here together to learn from each other and so all that. It's just really cool to see that you guys are you're already part of the community. People know Ad Astra, people know Granite Mountain. So it's like, to have you guys just kind of fit into that space is exciting, and to have you locally is even more exciting.
Yeah. And we're hoping that we take home some more hardware this year for some of our barrel aged beers. I know I entered Envy in, and
we can't say anything about it.
I'm not fishing, but I think I have a lot of faith in what we're doing, and if we don't win, then we just got to look at the judges' scores and kind of go back and reconfigure some things.
Sure.
But we're always trying to be better, always striving to do better, and to make our processes cleaner and better.
You want to win awards for, or try to win awards for, different styles other than your wood barrel aged stuff?
I think I might have to, because it's like I have to go into a different style, because it feels like I'm the only one that's constantly putting barrel aged beers in a lot, so I don't want to just dominate the style. I think I'll have to do hazy IPA next year or something, like, because there was the most beers I think was hazy IPA entered in the competition
Always.
and then Pilsner was like second or something, or some kind of lager was second. So I think it's doing that because we want to challenge ourselves. It's like, if you're good at making stouts and you only make stouts, and you kind of just one trick pony, but we have so much more to what we do than that. So I think that the big thing for me, I feel like there's, from the beer geek world, in my opinion, the most significance you can get for your brewery is when you make really good barrel aged beer, because there's people of all levels of beer knowledge that can appreciate it. And then it's the cab of beer.
Yep.
As a barrel aged stout. If you make a good cab, people are going to know you. It doesn't matter how good your Chardonnay or whatever is. If your cab is top notch, people are going to come in for it.
What so you guys submitted it to the ACBA this year and last year as Ad Astra.
Last year we entered Vanilla Vapor, which is essentially the same beer. So it's the same batch of beer, but it's younger and it's only vanilla.
That one won the gold, and you also had Flight Wave, like a maple bourbon. Yeah.
I have peach brandy too. I entered peach brandy this year. It's really, really good.
Do you enter into any other competitions?
We've entered into not Catalyst or not Ad Astra, because it was too small of a setup, and it was like, it's kind of labor intensive to bottle a lot of beers and to ship them and to do all that stuff. So we had looked at doing World Beer Cup and GABF, but it wasn't right for what we were doing. For here, we're going to enter as many competitions as we can.
Right.
And we're hoping that we can maybe win a couple too.
Yeah,
but
it'll be fun. I mean, just judging by the sort of parallels between people that won the ACBA awards last year and people that also won GABF awards last year, I think there's some parallel. I think there will be. So if you guys are already killing it on the ACBA, I think you guys will do well. I'm curious, like, for you, the Arizona Craft Beer Awards, like, how do you see that kind of going off into the future? Like, how do you see that developing into, like, what does it mean to you to win that?
To me, it means that, like, it's like a gunfight. If you go and you win, you get to take it home. It's like the prize. It's the ultimate, like, the feather in your cap, where, like, you also get a good feedback if you don't win. And so it's just a learning experience, and it's something that, and for me, I volunteered to judge this year, so it made it more, I have more invested in it. And yeah. I've never really judged before, but I when I worked at the brewery, we did sensory with a master cicerone, and there was 4 master cicerones at the time. So we really pushed a lot of sensory and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily know how to judge beer, but I know how to taste beer very well. So,
right.
That was a learning experience for me. And we had some heavy hitters at our table. We had Austin from Saddle Mountain. We had Matt from Huss, top guy. And then we had
The other Matt Johnson.
The other Matty J, yeah.
And then we had Megan, who works at 100 Mile, and she was our table lead. She's judged for GABF like 10 years. So
Yeah.
we had some really, really heavy hitters at our.
Did you have any really just awful beers that shouldn't have been submitted? Or?
I mean, I think that happens a lot. But
hand up. I had a couple, and everyone at our table all recognized like, ooh, that one misses big time.
You know, I will say though that like I have respect for brewers that submit their beers because the brewers probably know that it's not quite up to par, but they're looking for the feedback. And I think that's that for us. That's working with the guild on the awards. Like our biggest goal is to create not just a avenue to hand out awards, but also a place where brewers can get feedback on their beer, whether they win or not, and actionable feedback. That
on the beer, maybe they submitted in the wrong category.
Exactly, and so like
go on and win bigger awards than just our local one.
I think the main thing that I noticed, it wasn't so much technical flaws in the beer making. It was more, I feel like people didn't package their beer correctly, or they're using rudimentary packaging, because there was flavors that come from bad brewing practices, and there's flavors that come from bad packaging.
That happens, yeah.
So I think it's just one of those things where if you're a really small brewery and you're trying to get your name out there, and you have to do what it takes to get a beer in a can or in a bottle, sometimes it doesn't always turn out perfect. And so I tried to give everyone honest feedback, and I probably went more in depth than some people on feedback, because I could tell them where something was like, oh, this is a really good beer, but it's missing this mid hop bitterness from like you need a little bit more boil hops, or oh, this hops tastes good, but it's kind of more fruity for this. This is too fruity for this style. You need something more earthy. So stuff like that, where I think that being in production, it helps So you got to know how to taste it, but you got to also know how to fix it in order to help somebody.
And that's what I like about they use BJCP judges, they use people who've judged GABF before and all this stuff. They use people who have judged beers before, but they also bring in brewers, and they also bring in home brewers, and they bring in people that know the process inside and out. And that really allows for the feedback to be, because one of the things we heard from the get-go was a lot of these times, like people that judge, 30 competitions a year just kind of jot these like really illegible, kind of unintelligible feedback that you're like, I don't know what this is. Where it's like, if we bring in this, like we kind of democratize it and bring in like this different variety of people, you're going to get all kinds of feedback that's really, really going to be helpful. Enrique, what's your beer drinking background, and like how, what are you coming into this from your perspective?
I like beer. I like more darker beer, like Negra Modelo, those type of beers. Darker, he makes one that's really good. Didn't you make that one at Prescott when we had that event?
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but we did
Tranquilo.
an event. Yes.
Tranquilo.
We did an event over there, and he made that beer, and it was just really good. Yeah.
Good.
But I'm more of a darker type beer, the light beer, it's okay once in a while, but I like something that has flavor and taste to it.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Are you planning on using the beer in any of your recipes, or are you already doing that?
Talking about pairing beers with some of my dishes, especially the Octopus, which is one of my most famous dishes. So the Octopus, and then maybe the rat peppers too.
Yep, nice.
That's more of an appetizer, but I think those will go good with a good Mexican lager or something like that.
Love that.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited for everything that's going on in here.
I know we're filming obviously towards the table in the brewery. If you we'll try to get some shots of the rest of the place, but how would you describe it in here? Like modern industrial or upgraded brewery experience? I mean, it's really nice in here. These chairs, I haven't felt.
It does give me SoCal vibes. It's something I said when we went to 100 Mile, where I was like, I feel like this place gives me Denver vibes. This place definitely gives me like upscale SoCal vibes. Was that the goal?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's where we come from, and you never want to forget where you came from, no matter what you're doing. And one of the big things was like, I mentioned the brewery a couple times, like that is who we want to be. That's the kind of beer. I don't think we're necessarily going to be like them. We're going to make IPAs and do all kinds of stuff, but we like that kind of feel. Like when you go in, there's always something different. Or when they have something and they say, "Oh, this tastes like white chocolate," and it tastes like white chocolate. That's what we really like and what we took from it. And we like this space because it's comfortable, it's inviting, and it feels nice. It feels like kind of at like your rich friend's house drinking a beer. It's like a fun environment, and it's meant to keep people here. It's not meant to put our nose so high that if it rains we'll drown, but we wanted it to look nice in here. We didn't want to necessarily have like the industrial, concrete cracked floors and maybe more like old school breweries where it was like that was just the norm. We're trying to raise everything up, raise the bar, set the bar if we can. But
and to that, I feel like the name also kind of denotes like this
sophistication.
Yeah, you're not Catalyst Brewing Company or Catalyst Brewery. You're
ales.
Crafted ales. Like it kind of gives it this air of like, okay, like this is maybe a little higher end than such and such brewery. So that's cool. You guys have thought it out, really.
Yeah, and I think it all comes back to just wanting to make the best beer. So if you want to make really high end beer and not give people sticker shock when you buy like a big barrel aged stout, which is a very expensive style to make and buy, you want to have it look nice. You don't want to buy a $30 bottle out of a barn door, right?
So since it's Catalyst Crafted Ales, does that preclude you from being able to make lagers?
No, we're just ale centric. But I think it's a good point. But I don't think that lagers are something that like I think everyone knows that everyone needs a lager in Arizona, right? Yeah. It's just too hot not to have
for sure.
lagers.
Well, and most people don't know the difference. If they're unless they're beer nerds like you and I, they don't know the difference between the ale and the lager and what that is. So
we also have our little thing.
Crafted chemistry. I do like
the back of the shirt. I like that.
Yeah, so
you guys be selling merch out of here?
Yeah, we got some merch. We'll get you guys some
Very
shirts
cool.
and stuff. But and we got the one that ASU colors is really cool.
I'm
not
cool.
like an ASU fan, but I live here, so by default I have to root for the home team. But
I'm an ASU fan. It's not really something to write home about right now, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Hey, if you're an Arizona sports fan, you've just come to enjoy disappointment.
Yeah, that's why we need more breweries to just drink a lot more.
Yeah. It worked for us. And it's nice that we're close enough to Mill Avenue to be comfortable, but not far enough away, right?
Yeah.
So
do you think you'll get a lot of the college crowd in here, or are you just that far enough away?
I don't think so.
I don't know, but I think that, if we have seltzers, wouldn't that be like a college thing?
Totally.
So
could be, yeah.
I wouldn't exclude them. I wouldn't say we don't want no college kids, but I think like we got a lot of TVs in here too, games and stuff. And if people want to tailgate and watch Sun Devils or the Huskies or the Wildcats or whatever team you like, we were with it. We're not like a Packers bar or anything, so everyone's welcome.
Very cool. That. Very cool. Well, Will, Enrique, this has been awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yep.
Good luck on opening soon. And
for sure. Yeah,
and good luck on awards season. Hope you guys do well. Make sure to follow Catalyst Crafted Ales on Instagram and Facebook. They have a really cool social media team behind the scenes that's going to post regularly, and they will announce when the place is ready for opening. It's very sleek, well designed on the inside. Can't wait for you guys to see it. Has a fairly sizable shaded patio up front, which is really nice considering that we've reached evening patio season, in my opinion. It's a great time to sit on the patio at night and here in the valley, and very soon it's going to be mostly all day patio season where you can sit outside at noon. So thanks to Will and the team for having us out there yesterday, and thanks to Will for being one of the 65 judges that we had last Saturday for the Arizona Craft Beer Awards judging day. Yours truly was on the table and helped decide several medals, including the Best in Show Award. That list is going to be under lock and key until the night of Friday, October 6th, when the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild, our partners for the festival, they will host the awards ceremony, a private ceremony with a lot of industry people, a lot of brewers. It's a fun night. We hand out awards, we drink some beers, we chat and everything. Fun night that we'll have on October 6th, and we're going to have that full list of awards published that night after they're announced right on phoenixmag.com for the full list. Make sure to follow us on our social media, our Phoenix Magazine social media accounts for posts all night and winners, announcements, all that good stuff. It all leads up to the Arizona Craft Beer Awards Festival on Saturday, October 21st on the Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium. This is where we had it last year. Tickets are on sale right now at azcraftbeer.com. All those links, they can be found on all of our social media pages and on the homepage at phoenixmag.com. You can't miss it. Let me tell you about some of the breweries coming out to the festival. As of 1 month out today, September 21st, we're 1 month out. Here we go. Deep Breath, Throne Brewing, State 48, 100 Mile Brewing, Walter Station, Oro Brewing, Oso, Greenwood, Phoenix Beer Co., Front Porch, Kitsune, Uncle Bear's, Grand Canyon, Grand Avenue Brewing, Desert Monks, College Street, Simple Machine, Saddle Mountain, Ranch Hand, Old Ellsworth, Huss, Four Peaks, Bonehouse, and 8-Bit Ale Works are all signed up. Cideries include Schilling Hard Cider and Six Bird Cider. We're going to have Merkin Vineyards that'll have wine out there. Puro and Waterbird will have spirits. Food trucks include Pelons, AZ Fry Guy, Melted, Envy, which is mac and cheese. Heck yeah. Popped Artisan Popcorn, Butt Rubs, Jerky, and Novel Ice Cream. Get your tickets today at azcraftbeer.com for the ACBA Festival. It's Saturday, October 21st from 1 to 5 p.m. VIP ticket holders will get in at noon. And we're going to have a great time on the Great Lawn. There's shaded seating and real restrooms inside the Heritage at Sportsman Park building. It's a great time. More breweries are signing up to attend every week, and so keep an eye on all of our social media pages for those announcements and get your tickets at azcraftbeer.com. Well, I thank you always for listening, and God willing, we will see you here next week.